Hi, and welcome to Together, the podcast where we teach and guide you in the art and the daily practice of sacred relationship so that you can enjoy the sweet fruits of the felt sense of connection and deep belonging.
And if you feel called, if this resonates as you're listening, keep in mind that we do have an online Together couples community for conscious couples where we dive deeper in. We have 2 calls a month, and you get to practice with other couples and dive deeper into the themes that we touch on in the podcast. And it's a powerful space. So just planting that seed of awareness for other ways to tune in.
Yeah. And in today's episode, we are diving into when your partner's wounds show up, what does real love look like? And in today's episode, we're going to be going over 3 key points here. We're going to dive into each one. The first one is recognize the imprint, not just the behavior. Second one is stay without absorbing. Key one. And 3, creating safety, not solutions. This is a topic that Courtney and I are so passionate about. And it's been the game changer in our day-to-day life, in our relationship, is how to move towards each other when wounds show up. Because what I've found is there's such a strong collective narrative that's your stuff. Like, that's yours to figure out, that's yours to heal, that's not mine. And what we're inviting in sacred relationship is it's all our stuff. Like, this is the sacred we. We get to be the most intimate ally to help rewrite some of these wounded places by giving the ingredients that were missing when the wound first started, when it first rooted. And what we have found when we're supporting couples in the community, or whether it's in our 2-to-2 containers, what is so common and in our own relationship that we continually pattern out is we really can see the place where when a partner is triggered, the thing that is being gathered, the information, the thing that creates the rupture is all about the current day behavior, like what the body language is, what the words are. And what we're inviting in this first place is to look past the current expression and understand when triggers are alive, it's generally us relating with the past history, the place where hurt really laid in deep in the nervous system and has created all these defense strategies to like fight and push away and withdraw. And
It's the coping strategies, it's the imprints. And one of the reasons I felt inspired to dive into this topic is as I'm out in the world and I'm connecting with people and they're talking about your podcast, it's so awesome, and they're wanting to share about their relationships. I'm noticing this consistent theme of this piece that maybe isn't quite landing, or we're not doing a good job of fully explaining around the deeper work of sacred relationship. And what that is I hear many different variations of, we just weren't able to continue to be in relationship because, every time he was upset with me, I would have to sit with him for an hour before we could move forward, or we just can't move forward in the relationship because she is so jealous and scared that I'm going to cheat on her, and she needs so much reassurance every time. And sort of this narrative that can happen that those are the things that are in the way of sacred relationship. And what we're here to say is, no. Those things are the way of sacred relationship. Those aren't in the way of sacred relationship. Those are the things of sacred relationship. That's what we are learning to be together in. So if it's like, unless I sit with my partner for an hour and he feels that feeling, we're not able to move forward. Yep. That's the work. It sounds like your partner has an imprint that takes a while to move through, and they need a lot of presence and a lot of slowness for them to be able to find their way through that place. Or, oh yeah, your partner was cheated on in the past. And so they need a lot of energy put into reassurance, to showing and proving and being transparent so that they can build trust. And so much energy is going into that. Yep. That's what journeying with that partner is going to look like. And so these imprints aren't in the way, they are the way. Because any partner we have is going to have imprints, no matter what. And our consciousness is very good at being like, oh, well, I'll find a partner who doesn't have that. Or I'll find a partner who, and it doesn't exist, because every partner is going to have some version of something that's really uncomfortable to be with, that's painful to be with, that we would rather not be with, and the work is, how do I become an ally for my partner to soften that imprint, to help it heal? But first we have to even realize this is an imprint. This is something that my partner needs to heal, and they actually can't fully heal it on their own. They have a sacred responsibility to get to know it. They have a sacred responsibility to do their own work with it. And it is going to come up in partnership. And how are you going to be with it? I've had one coming up recently where and we've been together 5 years, and then suddenly this deeper thing is starting to emerge, right? That wasn't there before.
Which I think is important to name, is the more this together way happens and there is more safety and all these parts are being rewired and met, that is the safe ground and foundation for deeper parts to come and be loved also. Because this is really about meeting these patterns, which is, you can look at it a way that Richard Rudd speaks about it in the Gene Keys, is it's meeting non-love with love. That's the whole name of the game, in ourselves and in the relationship. Whatever's coming up in the pain in you, I want to get so good at loving those parts back into wholeness.
Yeah, not fixing them. We're not talking about coming in and fixing them, loving them. We're not talking about come in and make me not have pain. We're talking, let me feel my pain and love me in it so that I can learn about it. So my version lately has been this freeze, this really deep collapse freeze that wasn't there before. So, rewind a few weeks ago, it was a Sunday, something got triggered in me. I don't even really remember what it was, but I went into such a deep collapse. And it was hours of me being in this distant, shut down, sad, irritable place. I hadn't encountered this part in myself before. I was like, this is new. And I couldn't do anything about it. I was really stuck in it. And, Mike could have been like, okay, Courtney, this is yours. You got to figure it out. You got to change it. And instead, he kept working at trying to figure out how to be an ally. And at first, he did a terrible job. He did the worst things. And I say that with so much kindness and love, because you were just trying it out. Yeah. Maybe if I do this, maybe if I get a little feisty with her, maybe if I have and it was just like, none of it was working.
None of it worked.
And none of it worked. It just made it worse and worse. And so then there's this moment, I'm sitting at the counter and I'm literally my body's heavy. I'm pretty despondent.
Not making eye contact. Non-verbal.
And this was hours. I'd been in this for hours. And I'm just frozen, numb, shut down. And then Mike finally how did you figure it out?
Well, the key ingredient I want to name in what I did here, just so you have a takeaway, is understanding curiosity softens all the deepest pain. That is the most important ingredient to healing, is experiencing someone who's in the curiosity of getting to know what's happening for us. That's what actually allows the other person to heal and soften. When we feel curiosity, we soften. So I got out of my own way, and the parts that I was trying, and the story and narrative in my head was like, well, I'm doing this though, and I'm trying that, and where I took it personally. And then I was like, okay, well, let's drop all the things that my mind thinks and all the things that are like the tools that I know that are scripted, and let's try something different. And that's where I go into like a deep spiritual practice. And I sat on the couch and I took breaths, and I just looked at her body language. I looked at your body language, and then I just started to feel sadness. I'm like, oh God, she's really like disconnected from herself. And then I imagined you as little Courtney. And then that immediately brought in compassion and curiosity of like, oh, little Courtney, God, what did she not get in this moment that I could offer, was the question I asked. And whenever I ask that question, I always get an answer. And then I was like, oh, she needs gentleness. She needs to feel someone notice her and help her come back into her body. And then so I just mobilize, and it gives me chills as I say it. It's like when spirit enters the room. We talk about sacred relationship. Spirit entered the room and then showed me, move towards her, go real slow, but powerful and firm. And just like look her in the eyes and start like rubbing her body, squeeze her arms, and just say like, I'm here. Hey, look at me. I'm here. And then that's what came through, and that's what I did. Just got up off the couch, slowed my own energy down, and just did my best to just help you feel that I was there. Help little Courtney feel that I was there. And that I could see she was hurting, and that I really care about that.
And it helped me so much because, of course, that wound was there because nobody figured out how to meet me in it when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And then what I eventually learned to do is to hide it, and I would just go off by myself, right? Mm-hmm. So it was new for me to stay in connection because we have a 3-year-old, so I couldn't leave. And I didn't know what was needed either, right? Mm. So when you attuned, then I could feel that part better. Mm-hmm. And there's actually truth to that in our nervous system when we're in really frozen, shut down places that are young. It's actually, we need the outer mirror first. We actually need someone to come from outside of us and say, hey, this is what I'm seeing. Oh, I can really feel this. And then it's orienting, you know? And it was the first time in my life that that part had been met relationally, and it helped it unthaw, and I was able to cry and feel it. And, you know, and there's a few things there. Both Mike and I had to recognize that this wasn't about now, right? We both had to have the awareness this is an old part that's here. We also both had to not disown the part or say, get out of here, part. You don't belong here. This is a sacred union. Get out of here. You know? And we both had to be committed to hanging out in the discomfort long enough to find a way through. Right? Because very easily Mike could have been like, well, I'm just going to go. Courtney, you take space. We take space. And maybe I shift and great, we come back together, but it doesn't heal.
Which a few years ago was our way.
Yeah.
Like we would do that.
Yeah. In certain places.
Like when it got really big. I'd say what we've really gotten good at is in the really sticky places, more of the time, most of the time, there's more capacity to stay because we practice it in the easier, like less charged places.
Yeah. And then to map this, it's not like then that part went away. 2 weeks later, on Father's Day, it came back, mm-hmm. and I was stuck in it. And it took us a few hours to find our way through. And we did. And we learned another layer of what's needed. And so the reason I'm sharing this is the journey of the work. It's not, Courtney has this part that keeps coming up. And because, you know, Mike has had ones that he has had for 5 years. And I've been learning over time to hold space for those parts for 5 years. And I've watched so many of the parts eventually shift and eventually transform and eventually soften, or notice myself get better and better at meeting the parts so it doesn't last as long. But the aim of the game is not to get rid of it or make it go away. It's how do we build tone to be with these parts that are little and that need allyship. Because the part I just really want you to get is the version of your partner you're wanting where they don't have that imprint. Like Mike, I imagine you have a desire that in that place I don't spend so long feeling despondent and I come back into my aliveness and my excitement and my joy, you know?
Well, in my unevolved place, yeah. Like,
well, and also in
for
your
sure.
evolved, like that would be your deepest prayer for me. But,
yes.
but the way
yes.
to it, the way to actually get me there is through it.
Yeah, I'd say the unevolved version of me would be, I wish this part wasn't here. The evolved version of it is, oh, my heart hurts so much feeling you hurt. I would love to resolve that.
Yeah.
For you.
Which is, that's the commitment to go on the journey of becoming a relational ally, not fixing it, not enabling it, but the relational ally that eventually we have experienced so many of these places fully heal. By committing to each other in this way. We have watched so many of them heal, but it was through going through it together. And I'm sure, I wish I could get a show of hands, but I'm sure we all know, especially in conscious relationship, the place where we can keep having boundaries to these places. Oh, there's Mike's thing, so he's going to go do his thing where he goes for a walk. And oh, there's Courtney's thing, so she's going to do her thing where she goes and meditates. And we get good at that, but then it doesn't actually shift or heal. It keeps coming up, keeps coming up, keeps coming up. And it's because it needs to be met with relational qualities that didn't happen when we were little.
Yeah. This is why it's so important to be able to see the imprint and not just judge the behavior, like not relate just based off of the behavior. Because there's, even when we, what I keep being initiated by and we keep learning in and raising our child, that the behavior isn't the thing to try to fix or change. It's getting to know what the behavior is about. And if we can come in with more softness and guidance and banks and boundary and kind of help energy move in a way that's helpful, where the child feels seen, that's the same inside of us. These wounds need help being guided in a way where they feel seen in the hurt, in the pain, and that no one wants to take that pain away. And this happened even just for a client last week where they were in this really painful place. And I just said to that little girl part, hey, I'm not here to take your pain away. And it was just such a big, big emotional release. And what did you just say? And so much energy moved through that. Because you just described it so beautifully. If any of these wounds can feel someone trying to fix or change that part, they get stronger. They grip on more, because that's not how we heal. If we're seen, if we're felt, if we're understood, our own nervous system, the healer that lives inside of us, knows how to integrate that energy. It will mobilize. It will have the emotional release. It will move towards the connection. It will receive what's being offered. And then it heals. And we've done this for each other so many places.
And it's and this is the thing. When I'm in the moment where it's hard to hold space for something that's arising for Mike, and I can feel every part of me like, I want out this, not out of the relationship, but I want out of this feeling.
Yeah,
it's wanting to get out of the feeling.
Yeah.
I could be riding my bike in the sunshine right now, but instead I'm sitting inside feeling my partner's intense collapse and generational trauma. This fucking, But what helps me is knowing that by being there with you, I'm helping you liberate yourself, and it's leading to more and more health and wellness. And I've experienced enough that that's what happens, that it's so worth it. It's so worth it.
So worth it, because it's not just liberating me and it's not just me liberating you. It's liberating what's possible in our relationship.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, the last few months we've had of like digging these grooves even deeper of the sacred we in our languaging and like working so hard and digging deep when there's ruptures to not let them last long, to move towards, to co-regulate. As we do this, it creates so much more capacity to be just in the joy, in higher states of pleasure and happiness. Like, God, our sex has just gotten that much better, and we go on trips and it's so good. Like, the whole trip can be amazing, or these little blips that are like 5 minutes.
Well, for me, the win is, if I can share, like, one of Mike's he has had a thing where if I go into any kind of anger or aggression, he'll go into a very deep freeze and like very far away, very frozen. And where we started off was like he could go away for days. Like he'd be there in quotation marks, but not really there.
My body would be, but
yeah.
I'm not in there emotionally. Yeah. I don't have a lot to give to meet I didn't have a lot to give you.
No, you would just go really far away and get really frozen, and there was literally nothing I could do. So for 5 years, I've been learning about this pattern. Mike's been learning about it too, right? But now I'm becoming like a bit of a ninja of knowing what that part needs more, And sometimes I do well and sometimes not as well, depending on what's happening for me. But, I even think of in the tent the other night where it sort of got evoked because I was frustrated about something with Cedar. And I felt myself, when I felt you go into that freeze, I felt myself way more able to be like, oh, here we are. Oh, this is what's needed. Okay, I'm going to come in. There's the young Mike. Okay. I'm going to like soft eyes, like some soft touch, and let's just breathe here, and just able to be myself. Like if we just need to hang out here for 2 hours, I'll hang out here for 2 hours, even though I really want to have sex, but but this is more important right now. And then watching how fast you're actually able to move through it, because we're getting better and better at meeting it versus getting better and better at making it go away, or better and better at boundarying it. And that is so liberating when we become masters of each other's imprints in that way. But of course, there's a period of time in the process where it's messy. It's just like when we're learning about our own shadows. I don't know any of you, show of hands. When you're first learning about your shadows, it's messy. Like we don't know what these are. We don't know how to now. It's messy. Anyone that's at the beginning part or the first third of their healing journey, it's messy. And then we start to get to know ourselves more. We get to know what the resources are. We get to know like, oh, when this comes up, I need this. And we get quicker and quicker at it. We get better and better at caring for ourselves. Same goes for learning our partner's shadows, right? And their imprints there's going to be a time where it's harder. It requires more commitment. It's more uncomfortable. Shit, yep, it's a Sunday and I'm going to spend 3 hours sitting in this place. And with the end goal being that I start to get so good at understanding and knowing your imprints that I can bring in the right relational ingredients that we can help it shift and heal faster.
Yeah, and this bridges so beautifully into the second point here that's so key to be able to do this well, is we're not saying hang out there in a way of just absorbing the pain. What we're saying is building the capacity to stay regulated in our own bodies so that we can be in the discomfort of what it brings up in us, but stay regulated, stay grounded, stay present to offer over the missing ingredients for our partner. And this is something, in the earlier stages, the beginning of the evolution of this for us, it's like, yeah, it was messy. It's like, we don't know the parts yet. We don't fully understand each other's imprints.
Although I do want to say is something that we had from day one was a commitment to wanting to help each other heal.
Oh yeah. That was.
And even though when sometimes we didn't know what to do, we did a good job of finding love.
Oh yeah. Our mantra, I think from the very beginning was the return to love, that we commit to returning to love whenever trauma enters the field. And there's this place just to speak to where I believe everyone's sensitive, and I'd say we are highly sensitive, which makes us really good at our work and supporting couples and attuning to all of the pain and the places and the patterns for couples and within our own relationship. But it also means it's a bit more messy, you know? And so in the beginning, there was messy points. We always had that return to love mantra that would bring us back, that golden thread carrying us through the wounded story that wants to perpetuate and bring in the next tool, learn the new ingredient. And I'd say we're at a privileged point now, 5 years in, where there's enough grooving. There's been enough of us offering over those missing ingredients to each other, where we've deepened our own capacity to self-regulate our rituals, our practices, our breath works, our men's circles, your women's temples groups. We have so much resource so that we can actually move towards each other's wounds and those triggered places, not take the reaction as personal, and bring in that curiosity, to bring in that safety, to really offer over those reparative ingredients.
Yeah, and if we were to think about what does it mean to not absorb it when you're sitting with your partner, an example is if I'm sitting describing this, so Mike goes into a freeze. Okay, so we're in a tent, the birds are singing, the sun is outside, our son is has fallen asleep beside me. It's actually a really sweet moment. The trees are rustling in the wind. We're here at this beautiful Earth Daughters Festival. Mike's supporting me. We've just been on this beautiful trip. We felt so connected. And then there's been this little rupture, And now Mike's nervous system is in red alert, the world is ending, to simplify.
In my nervous system.
Yeah, in your nervous system, not in your mind, but in your nervous system. Your body's like, I'm in so much danger, because it's remembering the past, right? When it's there was so much danger, and when someone was angry, and in this moment I had a blip of anger, So Mike's nervous system is something's really wrong, something's really bad. I don't trust Courtney. This feels unsafe. This is just automatic in his nervous system. Well, what this all balances on is, can I, as the partner, notice he's feeling that, but not get pulled into that with him, where suddenly I start to be yeah, this is unsafe, and Mike's not safe, and this doesn't feel safe, and this doesn't feel good, and where my nervous system might now join his, and now we're floating in the energy of that, versus me. This is what this looks like inside of me when I stay grounded, right, and regulated, is I'm sitting in the tent, and I'm hearing the birds, and I'm noticing that I feel filled up from having a nice dinner with my family and dancing with my sisters at the festival, and feeling all of that. And then, and Mike's in this distress, and noticing that and feeling that, but staying connected to my resource. And it's allowing both to be true. So to do this for each other, we have to be able to hold both, that life is safe and we're okay and we're connected and Mike and I love each other, while at the same time having space for, and Mike is feeling frozen, and there's a frozen energy in the field, and I can kind of feel that in my body too. And, or the version of when I was collapsed, it can bring in a real heaviness, right, in the field. But Mike needs to work on his ability to stay in his life energy and stay in his love and stay in the reality of it's a beautiful Sunday. And, we are just working in the garden and we're in love. And the more he can stay connected to that while meeting me in the collapse, that's what's actually going to help something transform. But for so many of us, what can happen is we're sitting in the soup of what our partner is feeling. And now we're both lost and believing what's happening in our partner, which is not about now. It's about the past. We're feeling the past.
Yeah, which isn't love. So when we're talking about in this title, what does real love look like in these places? It's not taking our partner's pain on. It's caring about it and bringing the reparative ingredients so that it can shift. It can shift within, a partner. We don't want to be the sponge. And I know this has been a huge one for me. I have been working out of so much codependence in my life, just based off of my environment growing up. And that codependent place is this place where my feelings and experiences depending on how you're feeling. And so this is where I, in the past, have just become the sponge. Like, I'm fully feeling what you're feeling. I've left my seat. I'm not even feeling what I'm feeling anymore. And I just go into automatic fixing mode of like, I need this to change so I feel better. So that's not it. We don't want to absorb it all. And this is a place that has taken so much time and practice, I'd say, for us both to cultivate the level of regulation, to stay in our own seat in that field of separation. Because really, when we're looking at wounds, it's a part of us that believes in the story of separate, that somehow that safety of co-regulation and consistent connection, it's gone. And now the brain's doing what it does. The nervous system's just doing what it knows how to do. And it's freezing, it's running, it's fighting, it's trying to fix, it's fawning. And so it's catching that, noticing that, and helping that actually gain access to what's true in this moment. So as an example, even in this, we talk about this example in the tent, when I got triggered, my nervous system's going into a thing. My thoughts are going into a story about it, of where you're the thing that's dangerous. There's the part of what you're offering, but then there's a part in me there that has to be like, Mike, I'm actually safe. This is okay. What's actually true in this moment? Like, what's actually going on right now? That same process, because that needs to happen, it feels important to name, on the receivership. So the person to actually receive the healing needs to be even open and curious of what's actually available. Does my partner care? Oh, orienting those young parts inside, this is important, is, oh, they're trying to help my young part. Oh, okay. And letting that in. And then on this other side of like, let's say, you're in a trigger in that freeze place. For me, I had to really land in my own seat, being like, Mike, this is really uncomfortable. Yeah, little Mike's in here. He wants to take this personal. Like, why can't we just shift out of this and go have fun? I want to go play and do all the things, but she's frozen. I have to orient that place first. So there's just a nuance, like this nuanced place where there can be this narrative, well, that's their shit. And we have to heal ourselves first. There's a place of, it's not about healing ourselves first, but it's about orienting ourselves first so that we're actually available for the connection. Because what I found is, if we can breathe and orient to, I'm safe and okay. Yep, this is uncomfortable. Yep, this isn't the most ideal thing to be doing right now, but this really matters. And the enlightened self-interest here is, if I cannot take this personal and absorb all of this as like it's my fault or this is super, then if I can bring in that curiosity, can mobilize towards, oh, what would be helpful here for you? Like in that freeze, oh, this isn't just going to be helpful for you to heal. This is going to be in my enlightened self-interest of, it's going to feel good to help you heal something. It's going to help me feel capable and strong and powerful. And that's such a big part of this piece, is orienting ourselves, breathing, grounding, noticing where the young part is in us, not taking on that energy as like, it's 'cause of me. And then it's like, oh, okay, now I'm safe here. Then it's moving towards and being offering over the piece that's helpful over there.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
And then this brings us into that third piece where it's really about creating safety, not solutions. So often what we found is these places get really messy, and we watch this in our couples community, if the fixer comes online and like tries to logic through whatever's come up of like, well, this just doesn't make sense, or why don't you just do this, or that logic piece is the part that is unsafe and scary for these wounded places. This is really about how to create the safety, the felt sense of safety. And this is what I feel like we keep getting better and better at. This is, you even had a moment this morning where there was a little something, and then we move into this third piece of just creating safety. Like the second the nervous systems are in a place that are beyond regulation, it's not about can't feel unsafe ever. But if it's impacting the felt sense of connection, it's like developing something to bring the safety back online. And co-regulation is such a good way to do that.
Yeah. And, you know, what I would say when we're doing work with couples is the most profound healing moments tend to be when, with the support of Mike and I, a couple is able to come deep into safety in those imprints and to really see each other in that place. When we slow right down and they can really feel and be in those places together is when there's the most safety. It's almost like that builds safety. There's nothing safer. Like the level of safety I felt when I was frozen and numb, and Mike made the effort to come towards me and see the little girl and love me and say, I'm here. Like that's a deeper level of safety that gets established in our relationship. Because then it's not that I'm just safe when everything's good. I'm actually safe in the parts of me that aren't good or that are hurt or are, and that devotion to keep bringing in the qualities needed for safety is so profound. Because in this way, what we're doing, we're actually not trying to fix each other. We're actually building a nest of safety that we're bringing all of those hurt parts into. That's really what the work is. We're creating a pocket of safety and saying, oh, hey, Mike's freeze, come, you can rest in the safety here. Oh, Courtney's, collapse. Hey, you can come rest in the safety here. And that's actually what transforms them. So the work is, how do we create safety right now? Which always requires a slowing down, some sort of eye contact, connection, making some sort of connection. Maybe it's touch and patience. I had this kind of, when we were planning this podcast, I had this kind of aha, and I'm going to share it because it's interesting that we talk so much in Sacred Relationship about Jesus and Mary Magdalene. Like they're really big examples of this. And it's kind of funny, like when you think about it, not haha funny. I'll say this, it's profound when you think about it. But this story of where literally Jesus was being crucified on the cross, like Mary could have been like, oh, Jesus, you kind of made a big stink. And this is uncomfortable. I don't think I can, be there while you get crucified and watch that. Like it's too painful, But she didn't. She stayed with him. She washed him. She was present with him. She was there through the whole thing. She helped put her body in the tomb,
Yes.
And in this, I feel like that is, and they call this the beloved companion. This is what we're doing for each other, is we're hanging out in the most uncomfortable place and bringing love and safety and care. And when I think of that story, when I think of that, the template, the divine blueprint of that story, what I hear is, in the biggest, most intense pain and suffering and cruelty that you can imagine, it was met with so much love and devotion and companionship. And that's what we do for each other in sacred relationship. And if we don't fully devote to meet each other in those places, it does limit the amount that can alchemize, and it limits the amount of safety we can build overall and the amount of love, because of course they're revered as a couple of true, oneness, and they move through that place together.
Yeah. And it's so palpable when there's a couple that has that quality online. We I notice I've always wanted to move towards that because it's the ultimate safety. If there's, and there's actually been studies of this, couples who are in like a sacred, our language here is sacred relationship, but when they're in a devoted bond and they really tend to each other's nervous systems and care about each other's well-being, it creates such a magnetism because it's actually healthy right order. Mom, and whether there's kids involved or not, like the partnership is meant to be really strong and united. And from that place, there's so much energy and vitality and resource that can spill out to many. And this is why I'd say in so much of the healing world, there's this attraction to work with, a man for some point of time and then a feminine for some part of time. So many of us are trying to heal these inner relationships between mom and dad inside of us. And this is the most divine, sacred way to do it, is in the partnership. It's like you can go off to the healers and all the things, but the most divine place to do the work is here.
Well, and one of the things we say in somatic work is, to heal a pattern, it could take 100, let's say, somatic therapy sessions, like a really deep pattern, But it's like if you have a healing moment with your actual intimate partner, it will repattern like 100 times faster, because the level of intimacy that's there amplifies the hurt, but it also amplifies the healing. Like if you have, like when I'm doing work with someone, if their partner can be in the room while we're repatterning, guaranteed that imprint is going to heal so much faster than if it was just me and that person, because it gets to the deeper parts of our brain, the deeper levels of, because when you're living with someone, it's a whole different ballgame as to how we feel them and how much they actually mean to us. Yeah.
Well, what we're describing is like these are the qualities and the elements that create the secure attachment. The more securely attached we are, the more capacity we have to be with the hard things in life. Like talk about hard, building a business, being an entrepreneur, being parents, just dealing with all the hard things that life just offers, COVID and political things and deaths and wars. And like, there's such an intensity to life itself. There's so much beauty and tenderness, but there's the full range. And what I have found, like even as you share that, I look at my previous relationship where we weren't doing the sacred relationship dance. We were in the you me consciousness, and we just didn't understand our wounds or like bashing up against each other. For 13 years, I tried to develop a business and I was just spinning my wheels because there wasn't resource and energy to do the hard things. Whereas when I look at what we've created in 5 years, both of our businesses have blown up and expanded, and it makes us more available and skillful in the work that we do as individuals. But it's what birthed together. Like us working with our intentions of when we first met, of we want to learn conscious partnership. It's what birthed together. So that is a byproduct of what can come from this kind of work is, oh my God, like feeling safer, feeling more met, having these younger parts heal actually helps us mature. Like I can feel it in my body. I can feel it in your body that I am relating with a much more mature Courtney than when I met you. And I'm getting to know a more mature version of Mike because of this dance, because of being the allies and moving towards these uncomfortable places and learning how to cultivate the staying power in the partner's trigger. Like when you're triggered, the easy default in the beginning was push away, withdraw. Oh, I feel better, but it's not what I actually need. And so now when I experience, whoa, you're triggered, my default of how to move towards, how to offer over love and connection and safety, and then that actually deepening our intimacy, which feels good for both of us. Like there's so much life that comes from that.
Yeah. So the bonus, if you stuck around, you
which
get
we didn't speak to in the beginning. We didn't speak. We normally name a bonus that we have. And so here we're at the bonus. If you're still listening, it's now here.
Yeah. So the bonus, I mean, I think you still get the bonus, is we want to invite you to do a practice that will build the muscle of holding space. And it's a muscle, and we all have to work it. We all have to build it. What we have found is intentionally practicing with holding space is very helpful, because when we can say, okay, set the alarm for 2 minutes, you're going to sit in silence. Maybe one or both of you is feeling stuff. Something's alive, and you're just going to practice sitting there, breathing together and being in it together. And notice what happens inside. Are you able to feel yourself and feel your partner? Do you maybe get totally lost in what your partner's feeling? Anything you notice is great, because we're just building a muscle. But just practicing and setting a timer and intentionally building the muscle of, hey, Mike, you got a lot coming up. Let's set the alarm. Let's sit here for 2 minutes and breathe, and I'm going to be here with you. And if you can do that for a little bit of time, you'll build the muscle, and you can do it for longer and longer.
Yeah. And just an additional nuance, from a couple episodes ago of the Sacred We, it can be so juicy and powerful to bring in we're going to sit together, we're going to set this timer and we're going to breathe together. We're going to co-regulate. That we language is so powerful. It's so powerful. Yeah. So I encourage you, if there's a place in, your current relational dynamic where things get sticky, try this practice of just boundarying on both sides, because it takes digging deep, and we really had to learn this one, hey, of we got to dig deep, got to contain all those parts that want to process about it. And it's let's just connect, let's breathe, let's notice each other,
let's feel it together, let's practice feeling it together.
Yeah.
So that's your homework. That's your juicy practice.
Yeah.
And you'll probably be amazed at the beauty that comes from it.
Yeah. And then if you are so drawn, you're still listening to this and you're really enjoying these conversations and this work, we have a place to go deeper with us, where you actually get to relate with us with our online together community, where couples are just kind of expediting the process by having, every 2 weeks practices to do, teachings in real time. You can ask, questions and we'll answer you. We are so there to help transmute your relationship into a deeper felt sense of love. This isn't just relational support. This is to help you claim the relationship that you long for. And
we all need it. We all need support. I actually don't think a couple could practice sacred relationship without community and support.
Yeah.
And so this is a way that might resonate for you.
Yeah. So if you're getting that heart hit or the gut punch and yes, that soul, yes, scroll down the show notes. There's a link down there for the community. And if you guys got value from this, please, what would be so helpful for us is to give this a 5-star rating review. Helps it push out to other people that haven't discovered us yet, so they can join this together way. So grateful for all of you. I love and appreciate you.
I love you.
Till next time.